Gate Park at the park, who's comforting children, singing, serenading the children, and even singing the hymn there, "My God, which is the song that comes to mind of what reportedly what the band played on the Titanic before the ship sank. And they both reunite together. It's right then there that the people in the park receive word and shout, "The fire's out, the fire's out, the fire's been put out. The fire been put out to burn the city. And a lot of them rejoice. And people of all ethnic races, all nationalities, both huddle together and work to build a new San Francisco, which they do, as they show at the end. The city is rebuilt, of course. And that's the movie. Most sums up. As I said, this movie was directed by W.S. Van Dyke, and who also worked along D.W. Griffin. Well, the director had a prior history working with D.W. Griffin on the silent film Birth of a Nation, which I mentioned before, which received a lot of criticism and controversy over his depictions, blackface depictions, and inaccuracies regarding Reconstruction during the Civil War and the Ku Klux Klan and so forth. And because of the controversy, both W.S. Van Dyke and D.W. Griffin, who both collaborated to make this film, which I didn't know that, were uncredited. Not surprised with, I guess, with the association with Birth of a Nation, the controversy. Though it stands to be a good film in my opinion. And like I said, this film starred Clark Gable and Jeanette MacDonald and Spencer Tracy, which on both Clark Gable and Spencer Tracy would continue in other films together, working other films together. And as I mentioned in my previous video about Clark Gable himself, is not very known even to this day. Most people may not know that he was actually said that he passed for white. He was really a mixed race. And this is the reason why I decided to do a video on this film, because of my previous video I talked about blacks in San Francisco. It led me to think about the film San Francisco and the depictions of black people. And really the leading character in the film, Clark Gable, was black himself. Technically was a black person featured in the historic event of the San Francisco earthquake, which I didn't really occur to me at the time. I really didn't know. And as I said before, there are scenes where they had blacks featured during the dance and performances right before the earthquake. Pull it up. And though the depictions kind of reflect the times, as I said, a lot of these are like, when they show the black Americans, they usually show them performing in, like, I guess, kind of blackface or what was called minstrel performances. And it's not really the most offensive, most atrocious, but they're not really in blackface, but it's just black actors doing like the traditional performances. And knowing what I know now, there actually were blacks present during as I mentioned in my previous video I did on Juneteenth, there were blacks during the 1906 San Francisco earthquake, which is not really known about it.
Esta noche. No resistan. No me retiro de la lucha. Luchas por... y bebamos, que mañana moriremos. Y los muertos...
Adelante. Aún tengo que arreglar.
No te apures, querida. Comamos y bebamos, que mañana moriremos. Y los muertos no disfrutan. Alicia, mira lo que he encontrado en uno de los camerinos.
Se lo puedo recordar. Es mi marido.
And there was other scene of a black boy I showed you before on the piano.
¿De dónde están los...
¿Quiere subir, hermano?
No, gracias. ¿A dónde van?
A buscar un poco.
Era dedicado al salvamento. Gracias. ¿Ha visto una joven vestida?
Perdone, entro ahora de servicio.
¿Qué hay, Blackie? ¡Retírese de...
See right here.
Lo siento, amigo. Suerte.
Gracias.
Terremoto. Ven. Tuerzan por la segunda calle. Por allí se puede transitar.
A ese lo han matado por dedicarse al saqueo. Intento, amigo. Suerte. Gracias. Atención.
Le ocurre.
This is the scene right here. And like I said, it's now too inaccurate because there were blacks present during the 1906 earthquake. And as for the depiction of the earthquake itself, disaster films are very well done for its time. And this was a time when things were done with models, and they used like a set that would vibrate and shake during the earthquake scenes.
Te llevo a casa.
Gracias.
¡Todo el mundo a bailar! ¡Venga, maestro! ¡Un poco de música!
As I said, this was depicting the great San Francisco earthquake of 1906 that was real life happened April 18th. At 5 o'clock in the morning, it was 7.9 on the Richter scale. Now, sometimes when the movie wasn't set during the morning time, it was at night that they depicted the odd that they would be having a nightclub performance like that at 5 o'clock in the morning, unless it was still going on up to 5 after 5. It looked like it took place during the day, late in the evening, rather than early in the morning. Anyway, it wasn't the most accurate depiction at the time. The only thing it does get accurate, I think, in my opinion, is it references the Golden Gate Bridge. I think Target references the Golden Gate. He wasn't around yet right during the time of the earthquake. It's kind of hard to, you have to remember that back then, how people got across the bay at the time was by ferry. Which, like I said, by this point, it was Golden Gate Bridge was almost built right around the time this movie was being made. It was made, and excuse me, let's see. And by this this movie film grossed a total of $273,000. $2,868,000 in the U.S. and in Canada. This is in the U.S. and Canada. And very well done film, in my opinion. It's often a movie that's particularly played on classic movie stations, including Turner Classic. That's how I came across this movie as a kid when I was about 11 years old. I recorded it on tape, recorded on one of my VHS tapes, like most of the earthquake scene, because I was actually running errands when it came on TV, so I wanted to record the ending so I wouldn't miss it. And I had it since, and it's never taken over. I still have it since. Since 2009, when I was 10 years old, it came on TV, and it's one of the standout period films I like to watch, with Titanic films, my favorite. And really, this was a period. Actually, before I even get to that, also I forgot to mention as Van Dyke was also going to make another kind of classic film, the Thin Man movies. And Clark Gable was this is one of his iconic films, along with It Happened One Night, Manhattan Melodrama, and of course Gone with the Wind, that most people are familiar with, the Southern Civil War epic, antebellum epic, I should say. And but now this period in general was defined by disaster movies, or movies that featured disaster in it. And much of the 30s, I kind of look at this as like the early wave of disaster films, and there are other movies that kind of hits. There are other great movies that came out during this period. Examples such as there was the movie Last Day of Pompeii, which was a Last Day of Pompeii. Pompeii, which is based off a silent film. You also had Cavalcade, which was about which really wasn't a disaster. It features the scene of the Titanic in it. Though it doesn't show the ship sink, but it features the historic disaster, which was a trend, particularly of featuring real historic disasters. Other examples was the film An Old Chicago that came out I think the following year. A few that starred Tyrone Power, 20th Century Fox. And then you had a movie called The Hurricane, directed by John Ford, and it's set during the era of imperialism during the 19th century. In 1938, you also had a film called turn of the century period film called Sisters, that starred Betty Davis, and it's set in San Francisco. So it features a scene of the earthquake. I think used stock footage from San Francisco, the scenes of the city burning. And then you up to 1930. Then you had in 1939 a movie called The Rain Came, that features a combination of disaster spectacles, including a epidemic, a fire, flood, earthquake, mudslide, and this also starred Tyrone Power. Tower of Power by up to the outbreak of World, all the way up to the outbreak of World War II in 1941, when that kind of marked the early period of disaster movies, as by the time of World War II, news was bombarded by stories of death, destruction, and just tragedy and sad tragedies. So disaster movies kind of fell out of place with everything that was going on with the war. And here's the pictures of these movie posters. During World War II, you wouldn't see much of the 1940s. For the most part, there weren't any disaster films. Even during the early post years after the war, there weren't that many disaster films, other than a few exceptions. Exceptions such as you had the 1943 Titanic film that starred the 1933 Titanic film that was a German propaganda film. Then you had a 1947 period film called Dream Dolphin Street, which I'm just learning about this film and plan on seeing this weekend. Plan on seeing this weekend that features like a little earthquake sequence, and a flood. I think a tidal wave flood. And then you have the had in 1949 Sladley's hurricane. 1949 Sladley's hurricane. The 50s, it wouldn't be until the mid 50s that you would see a second wave or resurgence in disaster films, mainly with the reflected mainly films that really were in the category of science fiction, that science fiction that reflected post-war fears, Cold War fears of destruction, of atomic destruction. And Time of Destruction. Time of Destruction, and you had along with this, you had I should say it like a resurgence in disaster films that focused on both on airline disasters, which was air travel was becoming prevalent during this period. Along with movies about along with not only airplane films, but also films about sea disasters and shipwrecks. Sea films, shipwrecks, such as Titanic films, and again another resurgence in Titanic films in this period. It's nice to remember. And you had the Man in the Ship, also starring Tyrone Power. Of course, the 70s will also, it wouldn't be, but really, mainly the 70s, most notably, famously would be the big resurgence in with the third wave or third resurgence of disaster movies. That's it. Particular movies such as the come to mind is the Poseidon Adventure, the Tower Inferno, and Earthquake. Earthquake. In Earthquake they used the same special effect techniques that was used in San Francisco from other earthquake films, San Francisco. So it has that legacy. And legacy, and a lot of the scenes of the shots at the end of the city being rebuilt was cut out for TV. I think for TV time or TV cut. The TV version cut. I'm not sure if I've seen the TV version cut or not, but there's a little extra fact about the movie. And that was the film San Francisco. It's a very good film, very good period film. Recommend watching it. That's another video by Chase Pounds. Stay tuned for the next video.